Hey y'all, I want to talk about something a little more serious today than what I normally talk about, and it's not talked about enough in our community. Um, Mental health. How I came to know about what mental health really was. Most of you know that, or many of you may know that, my son had a tragic situation that happened to him in 2010, September 2010. So I'm not going to talk all about that because most of y'all know it and saw it. But I want to talk about the mental health part where I almost died behind it. Okay, so Dontier came home in November. This happened to him in September. So New Year's Eve, I'll never forget. New Year's Eve of 2000. So it was 2010 going into 2011 New Year's Eve. I had been running around all day trying to get food for Dontier and just make him happy because it was like since he had came home from the hospital, nothing never made him happy. It was like I was so tired, y'all, couldn't get any sleep. I had just had my last back surgery in October of 2010 with rods and screws in it. And my son, he just was miserable. He was miserable. He didn't want to be here. He wanted God to keep him up there with him. He didn't want to be here. I mean, he was just miserable. And I was doing the best I could as far as trying my best that I knew how. I had, like I told y'all, I had just started going to church and tapping somewhat into God. So I wasn't high on him today. But anyway, so let me tell y'all. So um, New Year's Eve, I went out and got pizza and everything, trying to make Tay have a good day because my other son had to work and it was just me, Tay, and my youngest son in the house. My ex was gone somewhere. So when I came home, I heard Dante on the phone with my grandfather complaining again. It was like he was complaining. At this time, I'm like 4 months sleep deprived. I had lost so much weight. My back was killing me. I just was not in the right headspace. So it was like I was doing everything I could in my power to make him stay happy, but it just wasn't working. So when I came and I heard him talking to my granddad on the phone, complaining again, I just snapped. I went up the steps. I started cussing and fussing. And, my granddad was on the phone because I snatched the phone from Tay and I was talking to my grandfather saying, how I'm just so tired. I can't take it anymore. I'm burnt out. Nothing that I do can make him happy. I don't care what I do, what I say. I knew Dontier had brain damage, but I didn't understand had caused him mental health problems. I was never told that. I do understand he had brain damage. So, Dontier went off like switch like that. Just like that. Boom. And before this happened, Dontier was always protective over me. He would, because he knew I had those back surgeries. I was all busted. He would fix me lunch. He would carry the grocery bag. He would, can I feed you breakfast? Can I feed you? He was so loving and kind towards me because he saw all the things that I was going through. So I'm just giving you a little history that will help you understand why I forgave him so fast. So as I'm talking to my grandfather on the phone, Dontier he snapped, and I had my back to Dontier. So he took me, slung me on the floor like a rag dog. Like I weighed 5 pounds. So when he slung me on the floor, I was on my stomach at first. Now, mind you, my youngest son was 8 years old. My ex-husband was gone somewhere, and my middle son was at work. So he slung me on the floor, and I was on my stomach, and he just jumped on my back, and he just started digging his hands on both sides of my face real fast, and I just saw blood. Blood was just gushing out my face on the floor, and I was trying to tell my youngest son to get the phone, and call the police. But when Tay slung me, he couldn't find the phone, and of course I can't look for my son on top of me. And my son was crying, the youngest one was crying, but Tay was just digging. It was pools of blood. It was pools of blood all on the carpet. And then he flipped me on my back till my back was on the floor. And he just was banging me. And then he just started choking me. And let me tell y'all something. I had a lot of brush with death, but I think this is like one more second I'd have been toast. So he had me on my back. He was just choking me, and I was going under, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I felt my soul leaving my body. I'm telling y'all what I know. This is the truth. And he was going, and so I just remember saying, damn, I never thought I would die at the hands of one of my sons. That was my last thought. And I was going under. I was like starting to go like black. It was like, if you close to the light, it was like fading back like that. And that's how I was going. And I was going under. And like right 1 second before I was like deep gone, a voice yelled to me so loud, as if I'm talking y'all right now, said, tell him you love him. And I said, and so I tried to make sense, like, tell him I love him. This motherfucker trying to kill me. What you mean tell him I love him? I want to kill him. And it said, tell him you love him, just like that. Like, it was right here. And so I did it. It wasn't nothing else I could do. I was like, I love you, Tay, I love you. So when I told him I love him, he like backed up on the corner and he cried. He cried. And he said, you don't love me. And so I'm trying to catch my breath because I couldn't even barely talk. I mean, I was gone, y'all. I was gone. And so once he did that, my youngest son, I told him, go find the phone, go find the phone. And I think I told him where my cell phone or something was at because I could talk a little bit. And I told him I love him. He said, no, you don't love me. You don't love me. He was crying. So in my head, I'm saying anything to keep him calm so I can get up and get away from him. So I'm like, no, Tay, I love you. And he's crying. So my youngest son found the phone, called the police. And when I went downstairs, first I got away from him. I didn't stay by him because I didn't trust him then. And when I went downstairs in the bathroom to look at my face, because remember when he had me on my stomach, he was digging me on both sides. You know how Doug digging the ground? That's how fast and hard he was digging. And my face was all bloody. I had scratches all over my face. It was bad. I'm talking about Doug. I ain't talking about no little scratches. I'm talking about when he was digging in my face. And so when I went down the steps and I'm in the bathroom and I'm trying to clear the blood off my face, because look at that, still protect my stage. Even though I had to call the police on him, I still didn't want them to see how bad he attacked me. I didn't want them to see because I didn't want him to go to jail. See, look at that. He did that and I'm still in protection mode. And I heard him scream real loud, like like real loud. But I didn't go check to see what was going on. I just sat down in the living room with the door open waiting for the police to come. So when the police came, like I said, I hurried up and switched shirts and wiped my face. But you could just see the digs was so bad and it was bleeding. You could just see. But it was like God knew that my son didn't need to be in jail. So it was like he sent him the right police. It was a black cop and a white cop. And they both was compassionate because I was telling them about what had happened to my son and what caused him, I think, to act like that, because that wasn't a norm to him. And so they suggested to me that they would take him to like I can't think, mental health department in the hospital. So I was like, yeah, take him there because I don't want to press charges. And they didn't want to do it. They knew that something had to be off about him in order for him to attack me like that. Because like I told you, he never was like that. Like he was always so loving and protective over me. And so they came and they took him away. And then, so when I go up to the hospital after a couple of days, because at first when this happened, I didn't know how to take it. I was like, should I just stop dealing with him, put him somewhere in a home? Because it's like nothing that I'm doing is helping. And I just felt so conflicted on what to do. So once I got up there and I talked to the psychiatrists and the mental health people, I understood what was going on. I ain't gonna never forget. I remember when I used to be down the when I was correctional officer down the men's penitentiary, and we used to have to walk them over to get their psych meds in the morning. I really didn't know what that truly meant when it said psych meds. I just thought it was crazy. I didn't really understand mental health that wasn't talked about around me. I didn't think I knew anybody of it. I wasn't aware of it at the time, but really it is people around me with mental health issues. But it's such a stigma that like people won't go get help. But anyway, so back what I was saying. So the cops took him up there and I went up there and talked to the doctor. And that's when he told me like, Dontier has mental health issues from the brain damage. And he was like, they didn't tell you when he was in the hospital at Kennedy Creek, and I was like, no, they never said anything to me. I don't even know nothing about that to look for signs. I knew he had brain damage, but I didn't know like it had caused him to have mental health issues. And so the psychiatrist looked at me. He was like, you are so tired. I could see in your eyes like your spirit is gone. You so tired. He said, but I'm going to offer you some relief. We're going to put him on medicine. And it's going to take a while to find his right doses as it does anybody. Everybody goes through this. And so he's like, but you're going to have a break. And so when Dontier came home, he was good for a while. But like they said, he had to play around with the dosage to get his perfect fit. So most times he would be good, but then he'd be wailing again. And it was a lot to deal with that. Like, I wanted to quit so many times with my son, but I wasn't going to do it. Even though I felt that way, I wasn't going to do it. And then that's when I started really learning about what mental health was. So I started looking at signs around certain people that was around me that have these situations. And I just want to say, like, a lot of the guys that was in prison, they had mental health issues. And now that I know what it was, and go get some help instead of thinking that it's bad to have, or even if you don't feel comfortable talking to people about it yet, go get yourself checked out if you feel like you have it. Like Dontier, that was back in 2011, and he still battles with it today. But it's a lot better. But with the medication, it doesn't get that out of control and out of hand. And our people, we just won't go get no help for it. We act like it's not there. It could be something as simple as people with depression or people with anxiety, any of those things that can cause like your relationships around you. Because when my son was in there, he was saying like a lot of the homeless people was because their family was like, if you're not taking this medicine, I'm not putting my safety in your hands and my life in jeopardy. So they would make the person leave until they decide to go get on the medication, which a lot of them don't. That's how they end up homeless. To the ones that my son ran into contact with, that's at the PRP program that he goes to. So that's why if y'all see him putting all them posts all day, he be going off. He is a sweetheart, y'all. He just be trying to talk. He don't know. But I just want to talk to my people about mental health issues. And I know people that has it and won't go get any help for it and don't want no recognition. I've even been cussed out, and I'll never say that to anybody again. I even been cussed out behind somebody when I saw the flags that was like make me go say something to them, and I got cussed out something bad. But so just wanted to get on here and like talk about that, because I wasn't going to talk about that today. As y'all know, Saturday morning we'll be back on the radio. I think it's an hour this time. So what I was really going to talk about tonight, I got to save that for Saturday at their request. I can't talk about what I was going to say. So that's what took me a minute to get on here. I was like, what do I talk about? Yeah. So if you somebody that have mental health issues and you need to talk to somebody that you maybe you feel like they don't understand, or people wouldn't, you don't have nobody to trust, you can inbox me. And see, I'm aware of it now. I've been going through this with my son since 2011. It's 2019. So I'm aware of it. So if you need somebody to talk to, you can inbox me, like I said, and we'll talk. I'll do whatever I can to help my people. I'm just not somebody to get on Facebook and just be talking. That's not me. That's why y'all notice I never really got on here and share my views about how I feel about things, because I don't want to be a talker. I want to be a doer. And so God has me on a path for that. Okay, well, I could tell you with him, like he just would get, like he was like irritated. He would be irritated. And I could tell you about the close person that was to me, that I had to leave because they wouldn't get it. Like it would be like they would be so sweet, kind and gentle, like a teddy bear, and then it would be like a drop of a dime over something dumb. It could be like you dropped your pen on the floor. They would like literally go enraged. Like it would be so, they would get so angry. They would be so enraged. They would be like, they will kill you behind this. There's people that's always sad, depression. And my mom, she's not here with us anymore, but my mother had depression. Again, I didn't understand what that was at that time. I just knew from what she said she had clinical depression. I didn't know what that meant. And I was a grown woman when she told me. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So my son, irritable, always sad, always depressed. You know, somebody else close to me have anxiety. They always worry about things like, say, for instance, if you get ready, anything new. You can go see a movie that you're not sure about. And when it's like to pick the seats, there would be anxiety. Like, it will cause a lot of pressure. Like, it's so many red flags. It's a lot. It's a lot. Not, matter of fact, when I got time to think about it, Cheryl, I'll inbox you some more red flags. But for me, I could tell you what my son, he was just irritable. He was like, 1 minute he'll be happy, the next minute he'll be sad. One day he'll be happy, the next couple of days he'd be real depressed. It just was like, it just wasn't, nothing never right. It was like nothing never right. And even till now, like, you got to watch him because the dosage that he's on is so high, like it give him tremors. Like, people might see him shaking and think it's from like something, the bad brain damage, but it's not. It's because the medication that he's on right now is so high. Because, you know, I'll tell y'all again later, we had another encounter with him. And I'll speak about that later. But that's why I say I just wanted to get on here. Because what I was going to talk about at first, I got saved that to Saturday when we get on the radio show. The people that, you know, invite us, they want us to talk about it, save it for there. So I'll have to save it. But anybody that has any questions, you know, like I said, you don't feel comfortable talking with people, they might laugh at you, that might make fun of you. And I'm telling y'all, when we get out there, that is one of my goals, is to bring mental awareness to communities. Because if you look at it, it's something wrong with a lot of us. I'm serious, and I'm not being funny, and I'm not trying to put nobody down. It's not a joke. And I remember when this happened with my son, I had pastors and the people from church were saying to me, why has you put him on that medication? He needs God. He need to get that devil out of him. I said, well, I tell you what, well, I'll pack his bags and you let him come stay at your house, you know, and attack you. I'm not going through that no more, because it's only by the grace of God. You welcome, love. You welcome. Like I said, when I get some more information, like I could think, because this wasn't what I was supposed to talk about. Like I said, so I told him, you let him come stay with you, and then you let him attack you and kill you, because it ain't gonna happen to me again, you know. So that's what I wanted to get on here. It's such short notice to talk about, because I had my little plan mapped all out. Said we're gonna stop getting on here and forgetting. But if anybody have any questions or anything like that, feel free to inbox me, and I'll talk about it to you. And as I do with everybody, I don't share people's business. I don't tell people business, what they say to me. That stays between them and I. And I talk to a lot of people on the direct messenger every day, a lot of times. A lot, you know, so that's cool. But I just wanted to say some red flags. Like, and if you know, like yourself, like, you know, like, you can't control your emotions, you get so upset, or like the least little thing happen, you get depressed. You know, I know somebody that was close to me that I found out later on they had like multiple personalities. And so it's a lot. So a lot of those guys that was in prison, not everyone, but a lot of them, they shouldn't even have been there. They should have been on medication in the first place. And so if I could think of anything else, like always, I'll come back on. But Saturday, I'm going to spend a lot of time on live, because we go to the radio station, then I go to my cousin's wedding. So I'm going to be on live a lot Saturday, and I'll have a plan mapped out a little bit more what to talk about there. But that's about it for tonight. Love you guys. Love you, beautiful people. Talk to y'all later. Bye.